Today I'm going to take you on a journey. We're going to go from the crow arm balance to the wall handstand, to the freestanding handstand, to the one arm handstand, and I'm going to show you all the progressions and the drills I'd use to go between each one. I'm going to move fast, so hold tight, and I'm going to give a brief tutorial on each one to help you find your gaps. Let's jump in. So if you're brand new to handstands, a great place to start is the crow position. So elbows inside the knees, externally rotate the hands, slowly increase weight forwards into the hands, take the head and shoulders down, the hips up, start to make the toes light. Once the toes become very light, you can lift 1 foot, you can lift 2 feet. Build confidence and strength in that position, get comfortable being able to move around in the position, and also play with different variations. So you can have the knees more on the elbows, and then you can have the knees more down on the outside, more like a frog position. Once we're ready to get fully upside down, we can move over to the wall. So externally rotate the hands, push the floor away. So lots of weight in the hands and the shoulders, step up onto the wall, hold here for time, nice and strong position, come back out with control. Learn to do that. Once you're comfortable there for time and you feel strong enough, moving closer to the wall. Again, same thing, hold there for time. Make sure you leave enough energy to get back out. Ideally, we're going to start to move all the way in and build this up to 30, 60, 90 seconds in this position, trying to mimic the handstand position. So not collapsing into the wall, but being very straight on one segment as best we can for our mobility, and again, leave enough energy to come back out. At the same time, we're working on that chest wall handstand and building the capacity there. We also want to start to explore the kick-ups. So strong shoulder position on top of the hands, strong focal point, so looking down between the index fingers. Lock that into position, light kick, touch the wall very lightly. The same again, but a little bit higher. Keep taking that foot higher until you can go all the way up. Build control here until we can get it so our heels lightly touch the wall. That's something we can continually work on through our journey, something we can keep refining and refining. Once we have that nice clean kick up to the wall, we can start to pull away from the wall and start to work the overbalance drill. So that's where we squeeze the legs together, we push, and then we push through the fingers, tall as we come off. Relax the body, go back to the wall again, practice that for repetitions. Once we have that for repetitions, we can start to do it for holds. So same thing, push as hard as you can up through the fingers, reach for the sky, hold there for time. As our confidence increases on our hands, we want to start to turn around and work the underbalance drill. So that's where we're working, build strength in this position so we can hold here. Now that needs to be done chest to wall, so it's a little bit more scary and you might need a spotter. So we walk up to the wall in this position, very strong line now between the shoulders and the toes. I'm going to take my shoulders away from the wall, over my fingers, my toes slide down the wall until they come off, then I push up, back to the wall again. So again, we want to build repetitions and control there. Once we have that, we can do exactly the same thing, slowly come off the wall, slowly push up, and then hold for time. Then once we're starting to get some hold time pulling off the wall, back to wall and chest to wall, we can start to work the freestanding handstand. I wouldn't stop doing the wall drills, but I start to integrate some attempts in the middle of the room. So same deal, hands on the floor, shoulders on top of the hands, pick that strong focal point, have a strong base, kick with control, hold for a couple of seconds, come back down. Start to increase that more and more until you can get all the way up and hold and come back down again. Then we can start to introduce the other two main shapes. So we have the super challenging tuck position. So coming down into this position as deep as you can, keeping the shoulders on top of the hands, and then we have the straddle position as well. Now you don't learn these freestanding. We want to be spending time in these positions first, back to wall and chest to wall. So back to wall, we're going to be aiming for butt on the wall, shoulders on top of the hands, and then both the straddle position and the tuck position. To start with, it might be like a mini position of both, but focusing on being able to go between them and return back to your straight position is very important. But again, will take lots of time, especially that tricky tuck. Now, like all the exercises, there's pros and cons for working chest to wall and back to wall. Chest to wall is really good for working the mobility of the tuck, so I can keep the legs parallel with the floor and just keep working those hands closer to the wall, making sure I'm pushing my shoulders on top of my hands and staying nice and strong in that position. And we can also hang out in the straddle position there with the same idea, trying to get the hip over and the shoulders on top of the hands. As the control on those shapes becomes better and better, we can start to play with them freestanding, both in the holds and in the repetitions between them. So open and close in your straddle, open and close in your straight to tuck position, and then work in the straddle to tuck as one piece. Now, as we get to this stage, most people come to a crossroads and they have to make a decision whether they go to the one-arm handstand route, the handstand push-up route, the press handstand route, or they're crazy like I was and do all three of them. Now in today's video, I'm not going to cover the handstand push-ups and the press handstands, but I'll link 2 videos for those at the end. But let's look at these one-arm handstand progressions. Now to do the one-arm handstand, I highly recommend you have a 90-second plus freestanding handstand. You're strong in a straddle and you're strong in a tuck. The easiest way to learn the one-arm handstand is through straddle for most people. So locking this position in, making sure it's nice and strong, and be able to flag side to side. If you can't do that, learn this first. Making sure that your arms are staying relatively straight and you're even pushing the elbow in towards the midline on the right, pushing the elbow into the midline on the left, and be able to come back again. Now the one-arm handstand is one of those skills that's relatively easy to learn, but it just takes thousands and thousands and thousands of repetitions. And I'd recommend a simplistic approach where you're just stacking like this. You've got equal weight in both hands. We want to put all the weight into this arm. So first of all, I'm going to start to look at that arm. I'm looking down to here. I'm going to start to shift across. As I shift across, I'm bringing the elbow and the shoulder in, making sure that stays in all the time. Slowly moving my hip on top of the shoulder. And then when I shift it over enough, this hand becomes light. As that hand becomes light, I can go up onto fingertips. As I do that, I bend the elbow to make sure I don't bring the shoulder up and fall in that direction. And then I can just hold there for time, slowly take fingers away, and then eventually take the hand away. Now I'm very dominant on my right side, so I'm going to show the easier progressions on my left side, the harder ones on the right. So kicking up to straight handstand, opening to straddle, looking at the left hand, flagging across, trying to bring the hip on top of the shoulder, bringing the elbow and the shoulder towards the midline. Once I'm there, I can go up onto fingertips, then I can go onto fingers or finger, come back out. Harder variations exactly the same as those, but now I start to lift the hand up to the side, and there's the one-arm handstand. We have the interesting question, how long do these steps take you? Now that's pretty much impossible to answer because everyone's different. When I started at 37, I'm about to turn 48. I could do an 8 to 10 second freestanding handstand, and it took me about 18 months to get to the one-arm handstand from there. But for most people, a crow is going to take between 0 and 30 days. And obviously these timelines are based on people practicing consistently because that's the number one thing. The length of the journey is going to be completely different, but you will keep progressing if you keep practicing. Wall handstand, again, you might have that already, so 0 to 60 days, but most people will be able to get up to at least that chest to wall handstand position pretty quickly. Now the freestanding handstand is going to take you anywhere from 3 months to 18 months, and then a safe timeline for the one-arm handstand is 18 months to 3 years. Now most people don't get this far because they don't train consistently enough, or they give up at some point along the journey. And that's not wrong to give up. The one-arm handstand is definitely not for everyone. It takes loads and loads of hours. For most people, it's not probably worth the time in for the reward out. But for me, it was the main driver why I started training, and then it got me into these other things as well as I started to progress down this journey. Now I'll link those videos for the handstand push-up and the press handstand. If you're after coaching, check out my website or my app. Links down in the description. Let me know if you have any video requests. If you are a YouTube member or already have my app, check out the Discord, and I'll speak to you in the next one.